In Ross chapter 13, we deal with what are called the pronominal suffixes. So we've already learned some pronouns, haven't we? We've learned that who is he and he is she. We've learned that ani and anohi are I. What we learned was what are called the independent personal pronouns, and we've learned demonstrative pronouns. How to say this, that, these, and those. In this chapter, what we learn is that Hebrew also has some pronouns that can be attached to the end of words as suffixes. Remember, prefixes are things you attach at the beginning of a word. Suffixes are things that you attach at the end of a word. Let's look for a moment over here on the screen. Do you remember how we have these inseparable prepositions, bet, lamed, and kaf, right? The bet means what? In or with. Le is to or for. And the kaf preposition is like or as. Now, what we're going to learn how to do in this chapter is to add pronouns so that they function as the objects of the prepositions bet and lamed. In other words, if I want to say in him, I'm going to add my pronoun to the preposition bet, and it'll come right after it. If I want to say to him, I'm going to add a pronoun to the lamed preposition. There's some special things about the preposition kaf, and that's going to wait for several chapters. We'll get to how to add preposition or pronouns to that. So we won't do that in this chapter. Let's take a look at this example, though, here. If I want to say to Moses, I can add Moses to the preposition lamed, or I could add the preposition lamed at the front of Moses, and I get le Moshe. Le Moshe. So say that with me. Le Moshe. What if I want to replace Moses with a pronoun? Which pronoun should I use in English? Yeah, he. Now, would I say to he? No. I have to change the form of my pronoun to reflect the fact that it's the object of a preposition. So I would say to him, okay? So how would I do that in Hebrew? Well, you might think that the easiest thing would be to just take the word for he in Hebrew, hu, and add the lamed as a prefix, le hu. And if things were that easy, we would all be happy, wouldn't we? The fact of the matter is, it's not so simple. But just like in English, we can't say to he. We have to say to him. Well, how do I do that in Hebrew? I have to add my lamed preposition and my pronoun suffix, and it's going to look like this. It's actually lo. The lamed is the to part, and the holem vav here is the him part. Okay? So here are the forms of the pronouns when they attach as suffixes to the preposition lamed. And for the most part, this will also be when we attach it to the preposition bet. Then I'll tell you the exceptions here in just a minute. Okay? So in your handout, what I've done is I've given you the independent pronoun beside the form of the pronoun suffix attached to the lamed preposition so that you could just see the similarities as well as the differences. Okay? So, everybody repeat after me. Lo. So this is the lamed preposition with the holem vav for him, to him. And we compare that with the word who, which is the independent pronoun he. We would use this as the subject of a sentence. He is Moses, would be hu Moshe. He wrote a book, hu kathav sefer. Okay? But I couldn't use a pronoun suffix to be a subject. Okay? So these are forms that are attached to prepositions. Next, we have la. Everybody say that. La. What can you tell me about that hey here? What kind of dot is in the hey? Yeah, it starts with an M. It's not a dagesh. It's a mapik. Excellent. What does the mapik tell you about that letter hey? It is a consonant. Exactly. So what I'm attaching to the lamed preposition is a comet and a consonant hey, la, and that is to her. Now compare that to the independent pronoun, the third feminine singular pronoun he. They're quite different, right? So that's she. Look at the second masculine singular pronoun you. If I want to say to you, it's lecha. Say that, lecha. So to you. Here I see the vocal shava of the lamed and then the ka ending. I don't see the vocal shava on lo and la because what I'm attaching are vowels, right? Holam vav is a vowel, kametz is a vowel. Here I'm attaching the consonantal ending ka, and so I do get the vocal shava here, and that is a vocal shava. Now let's compare this with the independent 2ms pronoun you. It's ata, ata. Do you see anything similar between lecha and ata? The same syllable, right? The same kametz here. Okay, but there is a mater he here, and there's no mater he here. This kametz is spelled defectively. All right. Sometimes you might see the he missing, and then you could have ata where it's just a kametz at the end, defectively spelled. The other difference is that this is a kaf and this is a tav, right? The tav is for when the pronoun can be a subject, and the kaf is for when the pronoun is functioning as something besides the subject. Here it's the object of the preposition. Okay, and we're going to see this consistently for the second person forms in Hebrew. My pronouns that are second person will often have a kaf element. When they're subjects, they will have a tav element. Okay, so we'll keep our eye open for that. All right, let me erase that now. Let's go to the way to say to you woman. It's going to be lach. Say that with me, lach. So remember how we learned that a shava at the beginning of a word is always vocal, right? Shava at the end of the word is always silent. So that is a silent shava we're seeing. Lach, not lacha. Okay, lach. So this is to you woman. And let's compare that with the independent pronoun for you woman. It's at, at. So what's the same here? The shava silent, right? What's different? The tav versus the kaf. Okay, at and lach. Okay, and then to me, everybody, is li. Li, lamed plus a kirik yod for me, to me. Look at my independent pronouns. Ani, anochi. What's the same? The e part, the kirik yod. All right, so we do have some similarity here that will help us. Let's look at the plural forms of the pronominal suffixes. Lahem, say that with me. Lahem is to them, and the them is masculine plural. The independent pronoun, haim. You see some similarities? Yeah, it's just I've got a long E, I have a short E. But it's pretty much the same. Haim, hem. Haim, hem. To them women is lahen. And that is very similar to hain, isn't it? So remember, the only difference between haim and hain, they male, they female, is the mem versus the nun. The mem is masculine. The only difference between hem and hen is the mem versus the nun. The mem is masculine as well. All right, to them men, to them women. Notice that my vowel here is a kametz, not a shava. It's not lehem, but lahem. Lahem. Okay, so we'll want to pay attention to that when we're trying to memorize these forms. Next, to you or to y'all, plural, masculine. Everybody, lachem. Kem is my pronoun. Look at the y'all independent pronoun, masculine plural. Atem. Atem. See how it's similar? Tem, the M, right? What's the difference? Tav versus kaf. Okay, the kaf is second person when it's a pronoun suffix. Okay, and to you women is lachen, everybody? And compare that with y'all women, aten. So again, N, but tav versus kaf. Okay, and again, that means that these two are similar to each other. The only difference is the mem versus the nun, right? Lachem to y'all male, lachen to y'all female. And then on the first common plural side, it's lanu, to us. lanu. And we, the independent pronoun, is anachnu. Do you see the similarities here? Yeah, we have nu and nu, don't we? All right, where's the accent? If you look through all these forms, the accent likes to go where? Accent will go on the final syllable, right? If there's only one syllable, then it'll go on the only syllable. So, repeat after me. Lo, la, lecha, lach, li. How many syllables do I have in all the singular forms? I only have one. Remember, the vocal shava does not constitute a syllable. So there's only one syllable in all these. So which syllable are we stressing? The only one, which is the last one. Now on the plural side, it's, everybody, lahem, lahen, lachem, lachen. Which syllable are we stressing? The second and final. There's two syllables in all these forms, right? Now we get to the last one, and it's not lanu, but lanu. This is the only place where we have first syllable stress when there's two syllables. So you need to make sure you put that accent mark on the lamed. Lanu, lanu, lanu. Okay? So let's repeat these one more time, everybody. Ready? Lo, la, lecha, lach, li, lahem, lahen, lachem, lachen, lanu. All right, now for the preposition bet, basically replace the lamed with a bet and you've got almost all the forms. So how would I say in him? It would be bo, exactly. Bet with a holem vav, bo. How would I say in her? Ba, good. Bet with a kametz he mapik. Okay? In you, man? B'cha. In you, woman? Bach. In me? Be. Okay, so you see how this works. The only place where we have distinctions is going to be right here on the 3MP and 3FP. The forms are bom and bon instead of bahem and bahen. Actually, you will sometimes see bahem and bahen, but most of the times it'll be bom and bon. What's happened here? Well, in bahem, the hay has been swallowed up, and the hay and the segol go away, and the kametz takes the lamed, or the bet slides over and takes the place of the hem, okay, or the he. So bahem becomes bam, bahen, ban. All right? And then it would be bachem, bachen, and banu for in y'all and in us. Okay? So that's what we do with the bet preposition. We'll learn about how the kaf does this a little bit later in the book. All right. If you go to Ross 13.2, he merely just wants to tell you what sort of the typical word order is of the sentences that you're going to come across in Hebrew. So what we learned was that usually we're going to see verb first, followed by the subject, and then followed by the object, right? But what if we have an indirect object? Okay? What's an indirect object? The indirect object is the recipient of some verb that implies conveying an object to a person. So if I said something like, I sent Billy a letter. I sent something. Whatever that something is the direct object. So what's the direct object in I sent Billy a letter? The letter. The letter is what I'm sending. Who's the recipient of the letter? Billy. And in Hebrew, how would I indicate the indirect object? I would use the preposition lamed plus some person, right? So it would be, I sent le Billy a letter, right? I sent a letter to Billy. Now, that lamed marking the indirect object, where is that going to show up in Hebrew? Typically, and it doesn't always have to do it this way, but it'll often go right after the verb. So verb, and then indirect object, and then the direct object, okay? And then if the subject is explicit, then the subject will usually be delayed until after the indirect object. So I sent to Billy, or actually, let's see, I wouldn't usually use the pronoun. So Mary sent Billy a letter. It would be sent, Billy, Mary, and then direct object, a letter. Okay? So if you look at your handout, we have the sample sentence, Nathan lo et hasefer. He sent to him, or he sent him, and then the direct object is the book. So it's following the second order that you see here. All right? So he just wants you to see typically how this will show up in Hebrew. Now, let's real quickly look at 13.3. In 13.3, we have a way of saying in Hebrew, there is and there is not, to express the existence of something. Okay? Now, how many of you have studied some Spanish or know some Spanish? Okay? A couple of you know some Spanish. This is basically equivalent to how in Spanish you say there is or there is not. I and no I. There is not. Okay? In Hebrew, we will say yesh if there is something, and ein if there is not. Okay? So yesh means there is, or in Spanish, I. Ein, there is not. And it could be there are not. There are and there are not. Okay? So what am I going to do? I will just say yesh followed by whatever exists. So what if I wanted to say there is a horse? Well, how would I say that? Yesh sus, right? Yesh sus. What if I wanted to say there is or there are men? Yesh, well, men, plural. Anashim. Yesh anashim, right? What if I wanted to say there are horses? Yesh susim. That's right. Now, how would I say there is not a horse? I don't use yesh, I use ein. So everybody, ein sus. How would I say there is not a man? Ein ish, or ein adam. How would I say there are no men? Ein anashim. Okay? So if there is something, yesh something. If there isn't something, ein something. That's pretty simple, right? Okay. Now, what if I want to say I have something? I have something. How does Hebrew express that? Hebrew expresses it by adding a lamed preposition, and then whoever has the thing, and then the thing that they have. So what if I wanted to say, I have a horse? Literally what I'm going to say is, there is, to me, a horse. There is to me a horse. Now how would I say that in Hebrew? Yesh, there is. What? How do I say to me? Li, there is to me. And then, whatever I have, a horse. Yesh li sus. Okay, so everybody say that with me. Yesh li sus. There is to me a horse means I have a horse. Okay? I have a horse. Now, how would I say I have a man? I have a husband. It's positive, not negative, so I'm going to use yesh, right? Yesh, li, and then not sus, but a man. Yep, I have ish. Yesh, li, ish. I have a man, or I have a husband. What if I wanted to say I have a king? Yesh, li, melech. Excellent. How would I say I don't have a horse? Ein, li, sus. Good. I don't have a horse. How would I say I don't have a husband? Ein, li, ish. How would I say I don't have a king? Ein li melech. How would I say he doesn't have a king? I got to switch what's attached to the lamed. Ein lo melech. There is not to him a king. Ein lo melech. All right? You see how this works? Okay, good. Let me just end with this story here, this little section. I don't know if I've ever told you this one, but when I was in high school, my Spanish teacher won a little travel scholarship to go to Costa Rica. And she was traveling from Mississippi down to Costa Rica with a bunch of people from the South. And there was this guy who didn't speak any Spanish going down for business. And when they got off the airport and they were starting to walk through wherever they were going to get to their baggage, he saw a little sandwich place with a big sign that said, "I sandwiches." How would that have looked in Spanish? It would look like this. "I sandwiches." Well, to somebody who doesn't speak Spanish, what does that look like? Hey sandwiches. And the guy with her, he was beside himself. He could not believe it. He looked at her and said, "My goodness, can you believe they eat hay sandwiches around here?" So he had no idea that "I" means there is or there are. And that's their way of saying, we sell sandwiches here, right? So anyhow, I always think about that when I teach this lesson.